From ABC News. Thank you, Eva. Good morning, New Hampshire. Good morning up into Maine, up into Portland, and not a bad start, but a little cooler than we'd like when we want to go back to Tuesday. Remember Tuesday? It was up near 70 or in the 70s and some sunshine. Kind of cool right into the weekend, or cooler, but we'll get going. Hey, got a busy packed show for you this morning. And thanks for joining us. Hey, Google, hey, Alexa, play the pulse of an H. Thousands of you are each morning. In addition to our great flagship of AM, FM news talk stations, including WTSN, Seacoast of New Hampshire, Seacoast of Maine, up into Maine, as I said, Portland 98.1 FM, 1270 AM, WTPL 1077 FM. Of course, the Lakes region, we have you blanketed. Everywhere else, nationally, hey, Google, hey, Alexa, play the pulse of an H. Get a full show for you. Going to talk more about the court stuff with Donald Trump. It's stormy in Manhattan. Stormy Daniels, I can't make this stuff up. Back in court today for more testimony. Watch the ratings, especially on CNN. I'm sure they'll surge. We're going to talk about Real ID in New Hampshire, the effort there to, if you travel, you might want to pay attention. We're going to hear from the director of motor vehicles, John Marasco, in just a little bit as part of our state police auto fair segment each week. John Decker, on White House correspondent, going to join us in a few, but we want to start off with a newsmaker out of the gate, and he is Congressman Chris Pappas, 1st Congressional District right here in New Hampshire, calling on President Joe Biden to take executive action to do more to secure the southern border. Congressman, thanks for joining us on Good Morning Hampshire, the Pulse of an H. Thank you. Well, tell us a little bit about your concerns here, because you're joining a number of Democrats calling on President Biden to do more at the southern border. Take it away. Yeah. Hmm. Right. Right. Well, I was going to ask you, 'cause it seems like regardless of the recent attempt with a bill, an actual bill that got kind of sidetracked due to politics, that this is something the president could have done sooner. Why do you think it's taken this long? Hmm. Hmm. Right. Quick hit out of the gate, Congressman Chris Pappas, 1st Congressional. Before we let you go, I wanted to get you mainly on that, sort of not on the talking list, or at least my end, but one of our listeners just wanted me to ask you. There was a story this week, just a general news story. People worrying that, well, officials that look at the budget And of course, we know we have a huge debt. It was almost 35, 34 something trillion. But Social Security, Medicare, namely Social Security, a lot of listeners, you know that, Congressman, and you're just listening, heard stories. At some point, this is not sustainable. Do we need to turn up the heat and an alarm on addressing this in Congress in a bipartisan way, which is almost impossible these days, looking at our programs like Social Security and Medicare to make sure they're solvent in 10 or 15 years or less? Right. Thank you, Congressman Papps, for a quick news update on looking at the southern border and more ways to secure it. Thank you on this Thursday morning. Good morning, Hampshire, the Pulse of an Age. All right, going to switch gears and going to bring in John Decker. Thank you for your patience, our own patience, our own White House correspondent. Talking about, we know Stormy Daniels is back in court today in Manhattan. I'm just chuckling a little bit because you can't make this stuff up. And we'll see how credible or what happens on the testimony of that witness. But also these other cases, John Decker, you're a legal eagle. Georgia, Florida, are they going to stretch out beyond November? Interesting. hmm And John, I didn't really think that would be the case because in a strange way, this could be actually more than a little bit of good news for Trump because he'll be able to focus more in the final few months on the election versus all these court appearances. Right. Can you only imagine if there was a TV camera in there? Thank you, John. John Decker. Thank you, John. Also, big news from thank you, John. Some of our national newsmakers. U.S. not going to supply some of the weapons, given Israel's push into Rafah to go after the last stronghold, as they say, of the Hamas terrorist militants. But there's a big civilian population there as well, upwards of 1 million people. We'll have more on that. We come back to real ID. Are you going to need it to hop on an airplane? The push to do that on the license side. We're going to hear in a moment from John Marasco, Director, New Hampshire's Division of Motor Vehicles, on the Pulse of NH, our regular state police segment, brought to you by Auto Fair. We're also later on this hour here from Jason LaCroix at Auto Fair with some spring sales deals. And a little bit where I want you to tune in at 9:30 for a really important interview. They're known as the most combat elite trained rescue operators in the world. Who are they? They're known as the PJs of the United States Air Force, Pararescue Foundation, pararescue members. And we're going to hear from the director, the executive director of the Pararescue Foundation, looking for a few New Hampshire businesses or companies to support these elite, incredibly trained operators that rescue. They're trained in combat, but unlike other branches like Delta teams, Navy SEALs, and the Navy that oftentimes will kill on a mission, they are trained to rescue. And we're looking for some New Hampshire businesses to get involved with them, maybe have some of their elite operatives come visit the companies that support them. So we're looking for a group of sort of founding companies here in New Hampshire, New England to help support the veterans and the pararescue community. We'll hear from Ron Lennis in a little bit. Hey, Google, hey, Alexa, play the Pulse of an Age back with a Real ID update or push with the Director of Motor Vehicles next. Welcome back. This is an important segment for all of you, especially a lot of folks who might travel a couple times or at least once a year. They'll hop on a plane, for example, to Florida or fly, and you might not think of your driver's license, but Real ID has been an effort or something that has been, I think, an option more than anything else. But it goes back a number of years now, and we have the director of motor vehicles in our studio, John Marasco, joining us. And I'm really glad he has a colleague from motor vehicles talking about the push to get more people to get the Real ID because if you travel on a plane, you may need this sort of adjusted license, if you will, and some extra steps to get on the plane, or unless you have a passport. Director Marasco, thank you. A lot of people are going to be wanting to know details on this. Take it away. I'm going to let you run with this. Has it been that long? Yeah. J-Dog, you were right. Yeah, yeah. Wow. Right, right. What's the date again? So it's coming up. Right. Now, you mentioned a few more things when you go to the Department of Motor Vehicles when you're licensed to get a real ID. A few more things that you got to bring beyond maybe whatever you bring. Can you walk us through that? And you also have a great colleague with you, which is, by the way, okay, NHDMV.gov for Department of Motor Vehicles. Take it away, Director. Hmm. What about a current non-real ID driver's license? So, yeah, like your current license and maybe a birth certificate. Would that be enough? Okay. But a birth certificate. I don't like a lot of people, I always scurry to try and find that. "Hey, where's my birth cer" I haven't seen that in a while. No, I know. Well, I had to laugh recently, my original Social Security card, that you get, your little piece of paper. I was looking for that recently for some reason, I can't remember, it bugged me, I couldn't find it. I finally found it, but you forget where you put this stuff at home. Well, so take it away, I don't know if you wanna introduce your colleague too, 'cause thank you. Mhm. Oh, okay, good. Yep. Interesting, and I think this is it really it's on the website, but it really if you boil it down, it's not too much, not too many hurdles, right? I mean, really a couple of things you gotta do, and although Janet pointed out the name change. Now what's the timetable again? You gotta get the federal government's pushing this. You said May? Yeah. Yeah, they do a good job, yeah. Mhm, mhm. And so that you're giving plenty of time here. Like, there's no panic factor. I mean, we have better part of a year. right? And so at some point in that year, what about, Janet mentioned that made me think of a name change. What about, sometimes people move within a calendar year. So what about an address change? You have to bring in like a bill or something like that, or to show, like, if say you go in with a current license and your birth certificate, but you move from Smith Street to Johnson Street, and that's your new address. Do you have to show anything on that? Are there any state stuff we need to know? Interesting. Mhm. And maybe Janet or Director John Marasco, Division or Department of Motor Vehicles, walk through the locations again, because I know, over on the seacoast, I think it's Dover, Manchester. Now, walk the DMV locations. And the other question, I guess, in today's day and age, can this be done all online, or get the information online? You got to go to a Department of Motor Vehicles. Mhm. Oh, how long, by the way, does this go? Like once you get your real ID, is it like your license? You don't have to, like, it's just that, like, you know how you have to go get your new license every, was it 5 years? So you're good for a while. Good to go. Okay. And yeah, physically go to a D and the locations? Pretty much all around every part of the every region, every part of the state. And and the website one more time, because these qualifications we're talking real ID, folks. It's kind of a step up on identification on your regular New Hampshire license if you're a motor vehicle operator before May 2025, I think May 7th. And this is to pretty much travel federally on a commercial airplane. So the website one more time. And you'll get it. Yeah, I got it. Yep. Yeah. Mhm. Right. Right. Make an appointment, you recommend? Can you do that online? And so make an appointment, but now if you wanna some go in the middle of the day and wait, that's okay too, right? Yeah. No, okay. And you'll probably have an area indicate, real ID or whatever. And at the airport now, they'll hand you, if you don't have one, they hand you some. Janet, does, the director have a real ID? Do you know? I don't wanna put him on the spot. He no, you know what he told me? "Jack, I work so hard, I never get to travel." All right. All right, both, thank you very much. Anything? Oh, we're good? One more time, the website? Yep. Right. Perfect. Now we're gonna get you on again, okay? This isn't like we got a lot here. We'll get you on a few more times before that, so don't worry. All right, thank you very much, Captain. Sorry, Captain. He used to be Major, New Hampshire State Police, now Director, New Hampshire Motor Vehicles. Thank you, Janet. Thank you, Director. All right. And coming up, as I said earlier at the top of the show, they are the most combat trained and elite rescue operators in the entire United States military. And a lot about our military, and I'm pretty biased supporting military. They are not as well known as other branches, but they are the best of the best, almost considered supermen of rescue. They are known as PJs, pararescue operators in the United States Air Force. We're going to hear from the executive director of the Pararescue Foundation in a moment. We're looking for a few good New Hampshire, Maine, New England businesses and companies to step forward and form a sort of a foundation, a grant foundation of supporting this elite group to support veterans. We'll tell you how you can support your PJs next on Good Morning Hampshire, the Pulse of an Age. All right, welcome back. We have a really great guest on now live. And of course, a week from yesterday, so less than a week, this next Wednesday, we go 12 hours for our veterans. The only radiothon, telethon, commercial broadcast that's 12 hours without commercials, thanks to our great sponsors like Coca Cola, Northeast Delta Dental, FedPoint, Service Credit Union, we have many others where we support veterans. This is Veterans Count, part of Easter Seals next Wednesday, 12 hours, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. But on that note, there's a wonderful organization known as the Para Rescue Foundation, all one word, .org, pararescuefoundation.org. And they do so much to help veterans nationally. And what's really cool, and we love our Delta Force teams in the Army or our Night Stalkers, if you've heard of them. And of course, Navy SEALs, very much exposed through movies and books. But you know what? The most elite combat trained operators, special tier operators, the highest level that actually rescue lives all around the world. They are the best of the best. United States Air Force. I'm talking right now to you, the business owner, you, the company. I want you to step forward, go to their website. We're going to bring in the executive director, Ron Lennis, right now. Ron's going to talk a little bit about their annual activities, who they are, but go to their website. We're looking for a few companies and businesses to step up. $2,000 or $3,000 a year. You can talk to Ron about annual philanthropic giving to support this elite community. And we want to grow their presence because we have some of these retired PJs, they're called, living right here, like Tony Negron in Barrington, New Hampshire. You've had him on my show, good friend of mine. Ron, I'm going to let you take it away and tell us about who the pararescue operators are, the great work of the foundation. You're the boss. I want businesses to go to your website today and call me offline, 603-228-2080, to support the number one level of special operator, highest level tier rescue operators. Take it away, Ron. Well, you work with the best of the best. They're very humble. A lot of people don't know the name PJ, and they really should because we're talking the supermen of rescue. And anyone who needs to be rescued, I don't care how high in the air, how deep in the sea, how deep in the mountains. Take it away, Ron. Well, mhm. And Ron, I know around the country you have these events where the public can come meet these folks. My goal is to eventually have one right here in New Hampshire. I know Tony Negron, who lives in Barrington, has been on my show, and I think he's going to join us next Wednesday for our Make 12 Hours Count for Veterans Count. He's got an amazing story of leadership in this community. But, it's amazing when I'll say to friends, do you know what a PJ is? And they're like, I've kind of heard of it, but I'm not sure. And then to understand their training and their extra training, whether it's in the mountains, high up in any aircraft or in the water, they are. And I think of movies like you go back to some of the Coast Guard rescues, but Navy SEAL rescues. When you see that helicopter come in, pilot's been shot down, like in Bosnia. There's a PJ or two on that craft, and they are the ones that will, whether it's going down ropes or jumping out or jumping in the water, that are going to rescue whether it's a highly trained fighter pilot who's been shot down, a family who's been taken, it could be in the, the Somali pirate lanes or in a mine in another country where a soccer team's been trapped. It's the pararescue people. Ron, why is there such a not a mystique, but my goal is to connect more businesses to your foundation and grow it right here in New Hampshire and New England. It's a great opportunity for a company that wants their employees to get involved and really support a level of the military that saves lives and support their efforts because we want to grow it right here. And I'm supporting this. So, Ron, why not saying the mystery, but there is a little bit of a mystery to PJ Pararescueman. Quiet, yes, yeah, right, yeah. Oh, okay, okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Hmm. Hmm. And I think of that. Go ahead, Ron. No, no, I love it. I love it. I'm thinking of one of my favorite movies, and I love Gene Hackman and J Dog. You'll think of him. He's a very popular actor, blonde hair. He plays. What's that? Owen Wilson plays the pilot shot down behind enemy lines, and Gene Hackman is the commander who has to basically finally override the United Nations group on his carrier to go get him as he's being chased by, in Serbia, in Bosnia, by Milosevic's gang and the dramatic rescue. But those were all pararescue. Ron, what I want to do in the next few minutes is maybe have you talk a little bit about how someone can contact you and get to know you and support this mission. I know that there are active teams that will come through New Hampshire into the White Mountains and train through Tony's group that are pararescue operators before they've sort of gotten through everything, but those final kind of get up in the mountains and be shot at with rubber bullets and ropes and save lives and teach them how to, make sure they don't get hurt when they're going after in hostile territory, one of our own to rescue. So even 2 or 3 grand a year broken up over 4 or 5 times, you're looking for businesses to get involved, corporations, business leaders to help spread the word and support veterans. So pararescuefoundation.org. And many business owners will say to me, Jack, we'll support you next Wednesday, but just shine the light. We don't know about this stuff. How can I help? This is how you can help in your philanthropic. If you have, like, for example, a good sized company to put in your budget 5 or 10 grand a year to support something. These are veterans right in our community, right here in New England. So, Ron, speak to that a little bit. Push people to the website. You have the donations, but you're looking for companies and businesses to sort of become part of the family. Hmm. Yep. Awesome. Mhm. And meet them. And I gotta tell you, they are the quiet, most humble, trained, wonderful, incredibly trained human beings. Right. It's amazing. Yeah. Well, I know friends of mine like John Ritchie of Ritchie Construction in Portsmouth got to know Tony. He's seen them in action. This is a great way to step up, step forward. Even a few $1,000 each year goes a long way, but it gets your company or employees involved. Almost like adopt a PJ, a para jumper, a para rescue person, para rescueman, pararescuefoundation.org. Contact Ron directly. Contact me if you want. We're going to continue this story because it's a wonderful group. And you know what? It's great to be quiet and humble and maybe lesser known than some of the other. There's only a handful of elite special operations teams, but as Ron mentioned, when they come back, adjusting to civilian life, supporting a family who might have lost a pararescue person, supporting the kids, supporting the mission, supporting the veteran. This is what you can do. You know what? I'm not saying it's a diamond in the rough, but it's not as known as some of these other branches that we'll talk about. So why not be a leader, a pioneer right here in New England to grow this effort because they're bigger in some other states. So contact Ron Lennis today. You just go to the website. I'm looking at it right now. Pararescuefoundation.org. Pararescuefoundation.org. And Ron, I'm not sure I can remember this now. I'm going to let you go, but Tony Negron shared with me a story way back when they were doing like the Superman series. There was actually this, the closest thing they could come up with to an actual Superman who could jump off of a building or out of a perfectly good airplane into the ocean and rescue someone was a PJ, right? Yeah. 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 So here you go. Yeah. You can, yeah. So you can support Superman. All right. I love it. Pararescuefoundation.org. We have to run. Ron, thank you for opening and shining the light on this. Good luck. You do a great job all around the country. What's growing right here in New England? Thank you, Ron. All right, take a break. We're going to come back and congratulate one of our great sponsors. We just had the director of motor vehicles on talking about the real ID push. Jason LaCroix, Auto Fair, the team at Auto Fair Honda Manchester, named again for the 18th time, the President's Award, 18th time. Also, some great spring specials. Back in a moment with Jason. All right, welcome back. Welcome back. And 18 years. I mean, that's like Ray Bork played in the NHL a long time, but 18 years to be recognized as the best is pretty cool. Auto Fair Honda in Manchester, the 18th time, the President's Award. And in that industry from the manufacturer, it's pretty big. But there's also a great time of year with the spring here, believe it or not. Specials, service, convenience, Jason LaCroix. And we just had our state police segment with the director of motor vehicles, John Marasco, talking about Auto Fair, but the real ID push. Jason, good morning. Good, 18 years, but you're only, like, 30 years old, I don't know how you do that. No way. No way. But you look younger every year, you run in the Boston Marathon, I don't know how you do that. Well, again, this time of year, we don't really talk about it, but we have to have a good, safe vehicle, and you got all kinds of service deals, convenient, leases, options, and by the way, bigger inventory. Tell us about some of the better deals. Now, is the HRV just slightly smaller than what I would call the bigger SUV you have? Yeah, CRV. CRV is very popular. I mean, it's just it's a great because it's a four door. You get the hatch. It's a good all wheel, but this the eight the it has one smaller, right? Well, again, it's, right Auto Fair Honda right across the mall in New Hampshire, but the lease versus buy, I know interest rates make everything a little higher because it spills down. We know that to buy a home today, it's about double what the, former mortgage, interest rates were, but from the manufacturer and your point of view, a lot of good leasing options, like those prices right there you just mentioned, 241 or 300 for a Ridgeline are pretty affordable compared to what a lot of people are used to paying. And what is the President's Award? Just overall excellence, service, and customer satisfaction, all the above? I didn't realize that. Like on a Sunday? Yeah, wow. Yeah. You mentioned that. You mentioned that last time you were on. So you can go there less than an hour or it's free. You can go take a 30, 40-minute walk. Well, you just made me think of it. We get the mayor there. If we do something before Memorial Day at the dealership, maybe we can just talk about that walking trail and all the above. All right, Jason. Auto Fair Honda, thanks again. We just had the director of motor vehicles on talking about that real ID push. So mentioning Auto Fair. Thank you, Jason. All right, good stuff. Congratulations, by the way. Love our sponsors. And there's so many on our Make 12 Hours Count for Veterans Count this next Wednesday. We go 12 hours, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. to support our veterans right here at home. Veterans Count, part of Easter Seals, vetscount.org, vetscount.org. We go 12 hours, my 10th annual Make 12 Hours Count for Veterans Count. Great, great sponsors. Coca-Cola, Joe Faro and his team at Tuscan Brands, Tuscan Kitchen. Abundant Life Stone Spa and Spas. We heard from Jamie yesterday over in Portsmouth as well with great bay spas. Service Credit Union, FedPoint, Coca-Cola, Jasmine Roofing and Construction, Northeast Delta Dental, Tom Raffio on the team, Eversource, the team next Wednesday. If you go by our building in the capital region, you'll see those big, huge utility trucks you see out there when they're bringing you back power after a windstorm or nor'easter with a huge American flag. And we thank our friends there. And Bank of America locally also on board out of Manchester, the Bank of New Hampshire. I'm sorry, Bank of America. What do I say? Bank of America team. Bank of America, of course, we have the national relationship with Bank of America, but the Bank of America team right out of New Hampshire, one of our supporters as well, Jim Foster and the team at Bank of America. Hey, Google, hey, Alexa, play the Pulse of an Age. Some great political analysis from one of our political analysts and all-stars, Phil Top, coming up next. Back on the Pulse of an H, top of the 10.